I'm working on fumes here. Scott Sherman comes along. We'll get to a little legalese here at some point, but we're all working on fumes. I'm not complaining. It's. I don't know anybody who could sleep last night watching it. I flipped the channels. I watched it. I sat on the couch and I literally came to tears last night when I saw the Ferguson market go under. It so affected me. Maybe because I know Jay, I know the story. It's the epicenter. It's a minority-owned business that is guilty of absolutely nothing, and it is more or less a symbol of St. Louis because St. Louis is small businesses, right? St. Louis embraces small businesses. We love small businesses. We love immigrants who come to town and sort of, that whole entrepreneurial spirit, and that's just a sort of a sad reality as that thing goes down. It was too much for me, and I was literally found myself crying in my house last night. And the first thing I said was that I was going to blame the people who did the violence. They came in town for one reason and one reason only, to cause violence and to cause damage. And I don't want any criticism of anybody going forward. The first criticism should be on the people because we ask police to do the impossible. And when the police can't protect us from the impossible, then we criticize the police. And hindsight is always 20/20. And how can you even begin to think of what possibly could have happened last night? And so, starting off, the blame is squarely on those people who don't want to live in our society. They don't want to live by our rules. They don't care about hard work. They don't care about the law. They don't care about the system of justice. They don't care if the grand jury came back with a first-degree murder trial or some other lesser indictment. They don't understand the nuance of a grand jury trial versus a judge they don't care, and they don't want to learn. They're there for one reason, and that is to create panic and scare people. They are homegrown terrorists. That's what they are. And anybody who tells me otherwise, well, they just are. There's no argument about it. So with that being said, I know we are in a very delicate and difficult situation. And we better hang together, because if we don't hang together, we're all going to hang separately. And St. Louis right now is it's at a point. And we can go a lot of different ways. We can come together. We can fracture apart. But what happens over the next couple of days, we're already in the vortex. What is going on right now is going to define St. Louis for the next 50 years. And who knows if we can come back, quite frankly, because I don't know. A town like Ferguson, talk about a hole in the county, right? Who is going to want to go to Ferguson? Who's going to want to rebuild Ferguson? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Now, with that being said, you had a governor. Now think about this for a second. Think about the optics. Yesterday, okay, I'm done with that. Now, here's my criticisms. You have a governor hold a news conference with the mayor and the outgoing county executive saying, please protest peacefully, but non-violently. Thank you very much. The police chief and the mayor of St. Louis met with the protesters. We have rules of engagement. We've talked to the protesters. We have safe zones. They have 19 different demands. We've satisfied 14 of them. And isn't this great? And we're going to come together, and the reason why you don't come up with the rules of engagement for protesters is for one simple reason. You don't negotiate with terrorists. That's what everybody did. We've talked to them. We've trained them. We have safe zones. This is going to be great. How many peaceful protesters were out last night? I have no idea, because I didn't see a whole lot of peaceful protesting going on. The governor holds a news conference an hour or so across town from where Bob McCullough is going to make the announcement. When asked the question, is 8 o'clock the right time to do this? I don't know. You're going to have to ask him. Where is the support? They all should have been in that room last night. He makes the decision. He makes the call. He reads the statement. He takes the questions. He walks off. Then President Obama comes to the podium at the White House and says, hey, this is really serious. Who in the last 3 months didn't think this was going to be serious? Lacey Clay holds a news conference afterwards saying, hey, no violence, even though we were unjustly taken care of, no violence. He went on Face the Nation and said, if he's not indicted, you ain't seen nothing yet. You have Jamel Nasheed saying, if he's not indicted, you ain't seen nothing yet. Chappelle Nadal says, if he's not indicted, you haven't seen nothing yet. You've had these people who have been signaling for months that you ain't seen nothing yet. The town's going to burn. They wrote it on the gates of Shaw. If we burn, you burn with us. So it was told. No, everybody knew this was coming. And they weren't prepared. They negotiated with these terrorists. They thought, you know who should have been in that room last night? President Obama should have been in that room. Governor Nixon should have stood behind Bob McCullough. Lacey Clay should have stood behind Bob McCullough. Peter Kinder should have stood behind him. Chris Koster should have stood behind him. Lacey Clay should have stood behind him. Every single Antonio French should have stood behind him. Every single elected official who's been mugging for the cameras for the last 3 months should have stood behind him and said, we have absolutely no idea what he's about to say, but for the good of St. Louis, we support it, and we can disagree with it, and we can debate it and discuss it, and we will. And we'll look to seek and solve the problems that face us together. But we are in agreement that these 12 St. Louisans did the best they could do with the evidence that they were presented. And even though some of us are going to be disappointed, some of us are going to be happy, we support St. Louis more than anything. Bob McCullough, present the findings. And yet, instead of doing that, they go off across town and hold their own news conference? And where's Steve Stenger? Steve Stenger's going to be county executive in a month. How come he's not there? Charlie Dooley couldn't find a microphone in the last 10 years. He finds a microphone to say, oh, please don't do anything. Where have they been the last 3 months? Jay Nixon flies to Afghanistan and holds a news conference and says, the only time we understood a phone news conference, when he said, the terrorists are the new normal. This is a man who goes to Afghanistan while his state is burning. And he then calls a dueling news conference with the man who's going to make the big announcement 2 hours later? Are you kidding me? Now it's 9:33. How come Governor Nixon hasn't made a statement at all? Nothing? Nothing. Your town is burning. The biggest town in the state that you govern is burning. Why aren't you at the command center? Why aren't you on every single talk show, radio show, national, local, saying this is not going to stand? We're going to find out how to do this. St. Louis is better. Missouri is better than this. We're going to. If I have to stand a post myself, I'm going to defend these businesses. They're going to have to come through me. Where is he? This is the most egregious. I cannot. The words escape me. How awful this is. And this man is nowhere to be found and has not been anywhere in the last 3 months. I'm going to take a break before I say something I really disagree with, or before I really get myself in trouble. But I think Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder's question is right on. You had the National Guard. They were there. They were begging for them. They needed help. Why did you not make the call? It's inexplicable. There's no answer for it. And are you kidding me that Eric Holder holds that much sway over the state that he says, don't call out the National Guard, and you don't call out the National Guard? Eric Holder is not your boss. Those businesses pay your salary. You took an oath to defend us and to protect us, and you failed twice in the same calendar year. Back in a moment.